Hey everybody, what is going on? Serial Love Drive here, and today we're going to be talking about community servers for the console edition of Rust. Specifically, what I did wrong with my community server. I could make a video going into D11 and how badly they messed up community servers. I've done it. I could do it again. I probably will do it again because let's be honest, community servers for the console edition of Rust went as well as you'd expect for a porta potty that's been at a 3-day festival. It was a mess. It was a complete and utter disaster, and honestly, there's still a little bit of smell lingering, but it is what it is. I'm not going to be talking about that today. I'm going to be talking about my community server and what I did wrong because I made some mistakes. So, for those of you who don't know, I've been hosting my community server now for a month. It's called Serial Overdrive's Quad, Trio, Duo, Solo 2X server. It's been up for a month. We've got a solid population. It sort of dropped off at the end. We're going to talk about that, but we started off, we had like 20, 30 people, maybe sometimes like it got up into the 40s or 50s once, but it did. It was a fun time. A lot of people were having a great time. People were playing around, trolling each other. It was actually some really good content, but a few mistakes that I made sort of ruined the whole server, if we've been honest. So 2X server, I thought that was a great idea. I thought it would be a lot of fun, and one of the first mistakes I made was I made sulfur 2X as well. So you can actually set a command that makes it so sulfur is 1x spawn rate while everything else is a 2x spawn rate, and that is something that I would definitely recommend because with sulfur being so readily available, what happened was people built the same old bases that they usually build, and then they went on massive raiding sprees which completely decimated the population. Now I'm not blaming anybody, but it went badly. Like there were a couple players who were just really hardcore, they were going really hard, and it basically in a day they decimated the server. Like I had a base there that got raided 3 times in a day. And once you get a hold of that, I asked them to stop it. They did. But what's done was done there. Like a lot of servers have been, a lot of bases have been raided. And once your base is raided a couple days in or even a week into Rust, maybe you do rebuild. But a lot of those people were messaging me saying, "Serial, I rebuilt my base and it got raided again." I left for an hour to go eat, my base got raided. I left for another hour to go do this, and my base got raided, and they just bailed. And I don't blame them, honestly. There's nothing I can say to bring them back, because it's just what am I going to say? Come back again, I'll give you a free kit? Because I don't want to do that either, right? Some servers, it's just oh yeah, give me a little bit of money, give me this, give me that, I'll give you a free kit. You can just get started. And the problem with giving out free starts is, where does it end? At some point, you're not playing Rust, you're just playing, a version of Call of Duty where the admins give away the gear instead of you spawning with it, and it's just, I'm not a big fan of just, spawning people in with kits and letting them go wild, because, you're bringing new people in if you only give people a kit when they start off, but at the same time, you're really discouraging people who've been grinding it out, because maybe you're grinding it out, you're on a T2, all of a sudden someone spawns in with an AK, decimates you, and you're sitting there WTF, what just happened? I get it. It's not good. So yeah, that's a bit of a tangent, but basically, the biggest issue I had was people got raided super fast because people built their typical Rust 1x bases. They could build it in double the time, and they used the remaining time to gather sulfur at a 2x rate, and then they just went and destroyed everybody. So one thing I do is if you go to custom boot commands, what I did is I did modifiers.set modifier, and then in quotation marks sulfur space gather space 1. So what that does is that sets the sulfur gather rate to 1, and everything else is going to be 2x. So I think that was one of the bigger mistakes that I made, but there's a few others that we've got to cover. So I think one of the mistakes that really handicapped my server was I didn't launch with other community servers. At the time, I thought it was a good decision. I still stand by that decision. First off, community servers weren't ready, in my opinion. It just wasn't a good situation for community servers because it's just they weren't ready to launch. We waited over 2 years for community servers. They were supposed to come out in under a month, and what we got was a porta potty after a 3-day festival. It was ridiculous, and the stench is still lingering. And in fact, I've still got a little bit of it between my fingernails. But it just wasn't a good situation. And even when I did get a community server at the time. You know how long it took me to get my server launched? Over a week. It took me over a week to get my server launched. So at that point, I'm a week late. And then I'm going to jump in. I'm going to try and get pop going. And it's almost Christmas. I'm not going to spend my family's Christmas dealing with a bunch of BS. And honestly, it does pop up from here. Even with a small population, it does pop up a lot. And yeah, that just wasn't something I wanted to do. So I didn't start my community server with everybody else. I think if I did, I would have had a higher population. I think a lot of people, when they joined those initial servers, they sort of stuck with them. Like, if you joined a server for that first wipe, the second wipe, you're going back to it. I noticed that with a lot of my regulars. They did come back to the server after the wipe. So yeah, like when I didn't launch, like that really did hurt things. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, is it a mistake? No. Did I want to do it right? Yeah, but like at the same time, I'm happy with how everything landed. And I wouldn't have had a good Christmas. I wouldn't have been able to relax if I'd had a Rust Console Edition community server, because, like, even with this server, right? Like, D11 still takes it down occasionally. People are DMing me off the hook. I've only got a couple people playing every night. Like, routinely, it'll like, for the last wipe, it was running about 10 to 20 pop at most times of the day. If the server went down, I'd probably get DM'd about it within like 30 minutes. And then people would start commenting on videos, and it would just be going off. And like, sometimes in the work, I can't really do anything. I've just got to wait. But like, yeah, if that's like in the middle of Christmas, in the middle of all this stuff going on, I'm dealing with all this, and D11's just not doing anything, it would get frustrating, honestly. I probably would have just stopped doing it altogether, because I'd say it's not worth it. But yeah, so I stand by my decision there. But if I wanted to do things right, I definitely should have just launched them at the launch of community servers. The other big thing I did is, I think, vetting admins, vetting moderators. That wasn't done right. We had one moderator, bit of a bitch, right? I'm not going to call out the name, but you know who you are if you're listening, and you know you're a bitch. But goes in, first thing they do is start abusing admin powers, right? Like, I get sent a clip within a day of them abusing admin powers, and not just like I was worried maybe someone's gonna spawn in like a little bit of extra stone, maybe they'll start themselves off with a bow, something sneaky like that. Nah, they just went invisible and murked someone. It's like the stupidest way you could cheat. It's zero IQ. So I'm just, I still like to give people the benefit of the doubt, because I try my best to be nice, and you can tell by what I'm saying. Like, the benefit of the doubt was given and not well received. So I DM this person. I say, like, hey, just removed your admin powers, but let me know what's going on. Here's a clip that someone sent me. Can you explain what's going on here? I trust you, but I just want to hear, like, why does it look like this? It looks like you're invisible inside of a base killing someone. They never responded or anything like that. Just completely, like, disappeared. No messages, nothing. And that was it. I haven't heard from them since. So it's like, okay, like, cool. Like, that, I don't know. That's like the lamest way you can handle it. Like, at the very least, just fucking say sorry, man. Just say, like, it got to my head. I got a little PP and I wanted to have a big PP, and this made me feel like it's a little bit bigger, and 2-inch wonder. It's feels a little bit more wonderful when I can use those admin powers. But like, no, nothing. Like, anyways, it is what it is. So yeah, there was that, and then after that, like, we had some people join that were actually like trying to abuse the admin, accusing an admin who didn't abuse their powers of abusing their powers, and it was just like this whole thing. Like, there's just all this drama starting off, right? And like, I think if I'd done a little bit more, like, if I talked to someone later and they helped me out with that, like, night, but like, if I'd done a little bit more research, probably I could have guided things a little bit better. I could have said admins, hey, like, start another account, use that account to log into the server. You can admin from that account, and like there's a bunch of different things like that you can do. You can also prepare people. Like, I didn't really say, like, hey, look, it can get a little messy. People can get a little bad. I just figured people knew what they were signing up for, but it really is, like, honestly, I didn't think it would be as bad as it was. So like, that, that it's on me though. That part's on me. Like, I should have been a little bit more straightforward, and I should have stepped in a bit more. My problem is, like, I'm not active all the time, right? Like, I'm with my kids most of the day. Like, I'm with my kids, I'm doing work, doing all that. I get done with the day, I've got to, like, clean, do everything like that, keep the house in order, right? Like, I mean, a lot of people listen to this. You don't have kids, you don't have, your parents are taking care of everything. I'm in your parents' situation, and the thing is, when you're taking care of everything, that takes a lot of damn time. At the end of the day, sometimes you just don't feel like it. Sometimes you want to watch TV, and that's what I do. But like, I'm not on the server enough, and the problem is then things can just run away from it. So probably what I should have done is found someone who could manage that server, and then I could just be like a player on the server. They could call it Serial Overdrive's whatever server, and then I jump in and, just I could make them the owner, and I'd be the one that's paying for it behind the scenes. I'd play it, everything like that, and I think it would have been a lot better experience. And then I think when things like that happen, it would be quelled a lot easier. Because honestly, this is what happened. Like the person that was going a little hard on the moderator, I just messaged him. I said, look, like to me, it doesn't look like you're cheating. There's some very sus things I can see. Like this happened. Like, yeah, you didn't know the rules. It is what it is. But like, just knock it off. And they did. And like, it's just one of those things. Like, yeah, if I could have jumped on it a lot faster, it would have gone better. So that's on me. That's on me. But like getting a little bit more control of that and making sure the launch was better. That I probably should have done too. And I think I honestly think the sulfur, the launch, just the timing of the launch, everything like that. Those were sort of the three biggest mistakes that I had. But yeah, I think the sulfur is a good one. I think the other thing that I could have done better is maybe start like the starts a little bit earlier, right? Like 2 weeks in, what I was doing is everybody would start with the bow and arrow. I think I probably should have done it 1 week. And then maybe at 2 weeks in, people can start with like a Eoka and a shotgun. And then at 3 weeks, they start with an SMG. And then maybe at 4 weeks, they can get in with that MP5 or AK or whatever and just go nuts, right? So I think there should be, because looking back, this is one of the things, like, you've got to have a balance. And I think I didn't manage to get that balance. You need a balance between action and sort of that period where there's just nothing going on, right? You need it to crescendo and then crash as far as a player's like gameplay experience goes. And it's very hard to get that as a server owner. As a game, it's very hard to get that. But you need this ability for a player to always feel like they're being tested, but never feel like it's to the point where they're just being, just being shat on, right? Like when people's bases are just getting raided every other hour and people are getting offline left and right and things are just going nuts, people don't feel like they don't want to keep going with that, right? Like nobody wants to just get shit on 24/7, especially when they're not even online. But at the same time, you don't want to play a server that's completely empty, which is like what I'm looking at right now. If you can join, that would be great, but who knows? It is what it is. I'm not making these videos to advertise my server. I'll shout it out. It's going to be in my videos. If you want to be in my videos, jump onto the server. But yeah, I think that crescendo just wasn't reached. I think that the action died off after the first week, and I didn't really bring it back with just spawning people in with bows and arrows, or just trying to get things a little bit more exciting. Because honestly, once I started with the bows and arrows, it did get a little bit more exciting. People are actually fighting a little bit more. You'd find these nakeds that would just spawn in and try and make a play, and that was sort of cool because as someone that's geared, right, like, you don't get a huge rush out of that, but that's a little bit of PvP combat. That's a little bit of like action. You're not just shooting nakeds on a beach. The nakeds are shooting back, and it feels a little bit more like, it feels a little bit more fun, I think, in my opinion. So I like that I took it that route. I just wish I'd done it sooner. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna keep banging away at this thing, but there's a few mistakes there, and I'm sure as we keep going, there's gonna be more mistakes that pop up. But honestly, I think setting that sulfur modifier down and starting people spawning in with good weapons earlier, I think those two things could go a long way. As far as the launch date goes, that's something that can't be fixed. But if you're looking at a new game and you're thinking, should I wait a little bit to launch the server? Should I just go in with bugs and all? Going with bugs and all, even if you got a bit of a personality, even if you got a YouTube channel that can draw a few views, that's not enough. You need to just launch with everybody else and fight it out then. And yeah, make sure when you launch, you're always around and monitoring everything. I guess that's just not something I can do. I wish I could do everything. It's one of those things, like, I wish that I could just be everywhere, do everything, get all my dreams accomplished. But that's not something anyone can do. And I think this is something that's important for everybody to realize, right? Because, like, I think a lot of people don't realize this, especially when it comes to Rust players. Just because you can do something, or just because you could waste the time doing something, doesn't mean you should waste the time doing something. Could I have been around 24/7 to monitor a server, made it work and everything like that? I could be. But at the same time, at the end of the day, like, that would not make me a good person, right? Like, that would mean that, like, I'm letting my kids down, I'm letting my family down, that would mean I'm not earning money. That would mean a whole lot of things that are really shitty. And that's just not the situation I'm going to put myself in. If that means the server fails, it means the server fails. It is what it is, as they say. And look, it's the same thing that I expect from anyone else. Anyone else, that's what I expect. Like, If someone else tells me that's why they couldn't do something, that makes sense to me. If someone works at D11 and they can't fix a bug because they've got to do something with their kids or their family, or just because they're having a rough day and they got done with work and want to watch your TV, I understand that 100%, and I wouldn't expect anything else from them. Companies, I'll be critical of, not people, because honestly, people are just fending for themselves. It's a rough world out there, and if you're getting by, you're getting by, and that's a good thing. You know, as long as you're not hurting other people, if it takes a little bit of fun away from me, that's a-okay with my book. Just do your thing, live your life as happy as you can be, and make sure you prioritize the things that do matter. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace.